right, hello everybody. So a couple things. Kramer's speech was very introspective, almost academic, and mine will not be. A couple things that I wanted to clarify, and I did something a little different because normally I come up here with 4 sheets of paper and only get through one of them. So tonight I had 2 sheets of paper, double spaced. So that's a good sign. Yeah, you can clap, it's all right. Now before we get too far into this, this is the 40th band banquet. And Miss Brown put something on Facebook. I was at the first band banquet, and it was on our trip to Branson. And it was at Ben's Wishing Well. There was let's see, what was it? It was a motel hotel, you know, the one where the door's on the outside? And it was 3 stories. And in the front was a restaurant, and it was Ben's Wishing Well. And I remember that hotel really well because there were kids in other bands, and I was flirting with the girls on the balcony of the other bands. I mean, I thought I found my true love. Sorry, Miss Brown. But that was our first band banquet, and I didn't really quite know what was happening. All these things were kind of happening really fast. I loved being on the band trip. I loved everything about that experience. And I think all of us have probably spent a good portion of our time trying to recreate that. So I want to address a couple things within the speeches, because you guys may think I was rude while I was on my phone, but I'm actually following their speeches. So I'm following everything in case somebody changes the speech on what was approved. And I assure you that everybody followed it per script. Very much so. I even talked to Peters. I said, Peters, he goes, yeah, Brown, I'm just making mine short and sweet. So I'm getting right to the point. I think it's going to be short. Everybody's going to love it. So did you love Peter's speech? It was short. It was good. To the point. So, let's see here. There were a couple things. Oh, all right. So first off, Marcel, just to clarify a couple things, when he came in as a freshman, part of the time we were marching because I didn't feel comfortable with the kids being inside. So we did marching band in the spring. And it was great. I loved it. We were outside. It started slightly cold. But then we got the kids on the field. We were marching around. And we were broken into 3 different classes, right? Wasn't it 3? Yeah, it was 3. We were in 3 different classes. So we charted this class would work on this portion of the field. This class do this portion of the field. And we could work with each individual class separately and then put it all together on the concert. And it was like brilliant. I mean, it was brilliant because I thought of it, so sorry. But it was actually really cool. Now, we were in an argument with the school district, which we are in most cases, because they won't provide us with the level of support that they should. And it was a time when we didn't have lines on the field. And I said some things that I should not have in the office. And guess what I got? You guys are thinking I got scolded, don't you? No, I got the school credit card. I got the school credit card, and I said, here, Kramer, go to Home Depot and buy as much freaking paint that they have. And he goes, what if it's, I said, I don't care if it's $1,000. We got the school credit card. We are going to have a good time with that. So he was there, and he goes, Brown, okay, they don't have much white, but they got a lot of yellow, and they got a lot of, it orange. Red, okay, thank you, Marcel. And you know where I'm going with this, don't you? Yes, you do. You do, you slick head. Okay, so Kramer came back. It was like Santa. He had all this paint. We were out there lying in the field, which they paid people to do things like that. But because, anyway, I'm just not going to go down that road. So we had the school credit card. So we were lining the field, and and I'm frugal, so we use the yellow paint, we use the red, we mix it up, and then we didn't have a lot of white, so I'm like, let's save the white for special occasions. Okay, so we lined the field with yellow. Now, you guys, you all drive, so you're familiar with, the road signs, the yellow road, yellow lines, like don't cross it. I'm thinking, okay, that'll be good for a marching band. And then we're out there, and we're not marching, we're not playing, we're just marching to a tape. And Kramer's doing it with counts and some with the tape, and I go, what in the world is it up with this Marseille kid, Kramer? Look at him! And like a few days before, he was just fine. I go, we gotta figure this out. This is a Scooby-Doo mystery right here. So apparently, Marseille were you shy to tell us?
I don't know, I guess, yeah.
Okay, so apparently he has a condition, and it's kind of like a colorblind condition.
Red-green color blind.
Huh, what is it?
Red-green color blind.
So he can't see yellow.
He can't see red.
Oh, he can't see red. Oh, it's red. Sorry, I was thinking it was just. Oh, yeah, so that was even better. Those red lines were the best. And then you could see them, they would last longer. It was a thing of beauty. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. So he had red, that's right. So he's marching around the field, and I'm like, what in the world? This kid doesn't know where he's going. He's like Ray Charles out there marching around or something. And then I think Kramer's like, oh, he was just good the other day. And I go, look at him! So then Kramer goes up to him and goes, what's going on with you? He goes, I can't see the lines. What do you mean you can't see the lines? Look down. He goes, I'm colorblind to red. He goes, hey Brown, that red paint, we're going to have to do something else with it. So that's why, to this day, I think we still have some red paint. We're going to be able to use it, Marcia, when you graduate. Sorry, buddy. Love you, though, but, I really like the way the field looked with that red on there. So that was how that came about, him marching around like he's like a mindless amoeba, because that's what he looked like. But actually, he's a really good marcher when he can see the lines. There was one other one I wanted to address, and I'm sorry, Graham, but this really touched me on your speech. Because you mentioned about your brother, David, and David's over here, being really great and amazing at a lot of things. And I just want to preface, and he is. He's brilliant. An amazing kid. Everything comes easy to him. Now, we were at the University of Iowa on a band trip. This is a big time program. This is high profile, big time. We're in their band room. Miss Brown takes the kids. She's screaming at them, prepping them. It's like, don't you all act up in this. So we're coming in, we're moving equipment, and I'm standing there talking to the band director, which is kind of like a pseudo movie star in the band world. So I'm talking to him, and we're standing there, and lo and behold, our percussion cabinet comes rolling right next to us. And I see David tap on it like the Lone Ranger, pretending it's a horse. Riding it like this, while other kids are pushing him. And then the band director goes, oh my. And I'm like, I'll be right back. That was one of my early introductions to David. Would you agree, David? So when you all hear in Graham's speech how amazing he is at things, it is true. But he's still that little cowboy inside of him somewhere. All right? So, anyway. I just wanted to clarify those things. So I'm sorry if I have embarrassed you, but a lot of people didn't know that about your color blindness, Marcel. So I exposed you to the world right here tonight. Okay? All right. So this is the 40th band banquet. I was at the 40th. I was at several in between. In fact, some of them I do remember being here at War Orleans. And I do remember this little stage right up here, because at the end, our banquet would have time and we would do this thing called dancing. Okay, you guys probably haven't seen that. Dancing is new now compared to when we were kids growing, doing it. I remember dancing there with my girlfriend, and this is probably inappropriate, but we were dancing there, and and let's just say I grabbed her butt while I was dancing. I'm embarrassed about it to this day. Sorry, Miss Brown, she does not know about this. This is the first time she hears about this, but that happened right here. That happened right here at the band banquet. I mean, I thought it was a scene out of Saturday Night Fever. I mean, I was John Travolta for that moment right there. Yeah, I'm going to be on the couch tonight, I think. So there are many things that our parents do, many other things that people do. Even the pseudo thought that what you're doing by bringing your kid to practice, bringing and picking them home, coming to bingo, all those things are significant. Even though as minor as you think it is one spoke in the wheel, it is one oar rowing the boat. We need all of those things. We need you. And you all are important to us, you are important to the program, and you're important to the things that we want to do with you. So for those folks that help us move things, haul things, make things, fix things, build things, and working at things, helping us wear things, helping us eat things, and many of the other things that we like to do that I did not mention. Thank you. So give all those folks a hand, please. So the next part of my speech, I want to kind of go through some of our staff members because many of you all know them, many of you all do not. But luckily, when you're around long enough, you get to assemble the kind of people around you that you want. And that's the good fortune that we've been able to do. So this is my 31st year teaching here. It's year 25, right, Jim? So year 25 for Miss Brown. So we essentially have been able to assemble the folks around us that we wanted. So the first one I'm going to start with is Jimmy Hahn. I remember yes, give a little love there, Jimmy. I remember when we went through the list, and it was a new position the district opened up, and because the district, actually they had some folks that were trying to cut the program, and once again, we said some really mean things to people, and then guess what? They didn't cut the program, they expanded the program. They opened up 2 positions, one on the Melville side, one on the Oakville side, and we were just ecstatic. So at that time, we had people that were really supportive of achievement and saw the need. So we added a new position. Now, the way they did the interview process was the most jacked up, asinine thing you can possibly think of. Doesn't that sound like Melville sometimes? Yeah. So the process they had was stupid. All right, and it was basically like a bidding. You guys have been to an auction, right? It was basically like, I felt like a bidding war, like an auction. So we were there, we're like, okay, we want this person, we're trying to assemble, and we wanted the other people to get somebody that was lesser, and we got the best person, and then we would basically try to tell the other people why they needed this person and why we wanted this person, and so on. So Jimmy was in that mix. Did you know this, Jimmy?
Somewhat.
Yeah. So you get to hear about it now for the first time if you didn't. So we were in the process of assembling. We had talked the other side of the district into somebody else that we thought was really inferior, which it turned out to be true. And then we got Jimmy, and the thing about Jimmy was that really kind of set it over the edge. You know this, Jimmy, is that he played drums. And we needed some drum help, some concepts. So I don't know how serious you were about the interview, Jimmy, or maybe you were just lying. But he says, I played drums a little bit. So we're like, that's what we need. He was a low brass guy and all those things. And Jimmy was nice and all that. And we need that too, but we needed some percussion help. So we got Jimmy. Now, the other person on the opposing side, I guess thought they would come together and work on things together. Actually, we knew some things about that other person because that other person on the other side was evil. And what that person liked to do was to find out information about other programs and spread that in gossip. And we were concerned about Jimmy getting caught into that. So we went to lunch. at Buffalo Wild Wings. That's where you go when you want to have a serious conversation. I sat directly across from him, and I told the others, I said, surround him. And they did. Do you remember this moment too? Did you think it was weird the way we were positioned? So, I was like, look here, I just want to explain something to you. I'm not going to tell you everything I said because it's somewhat inappropriate for this crowd. But I said, I want to make sure you know where your loyalty is. And it's our kids in this program. And I don't want you to tell anybody else what we do. And he's like, okay. And lo and behold, Jimmy's here today. So give him some hands. Yes. Sorry, I have to leave a lot of things out because there were a lot of things that I said that would not be appropriate for this group. Our next one, Miss Fiasco. Yes. Now, Miss Fiasco has been fun because she was a student of Miss Brown's to start with, and then eventually she became a student of mine in the high school. Actually, what Emily Fiasco did, which is an anomaly, you don't hear about this. She was in the district to go to Oakville, and she actually decided Melville was a better school. And she transferred to Melville. Most of the time it's the other way around because they said, oh no, Oakville is a much better school. Oh yes, very much. Actually, that's not true. So she came to Melville, and she came through, her brother came through, her brother, amazing drummer, played in band at Merrimack after he graduated for, gosh, like 10 years.
He's still.
So he still played it. How long has that been? 15?
Yeah.
It's been a while. He's still, it's like a community group and he's still playing. And Gary Gaxton, who's the band there, loves him. It's an amazing thing. Now, the thing that you obviously knew about this, that Miss Fiasco was on Jeopardy. Did you guys know this?
Yeah.
And she is really smart. And I do remember when she was in high school having this conversation. I'm like, why would you want to do this? You're really smart. You could make more money, have more respect, get to go more exotic places, all these things. And even in spite of all of those options that were open to her, because she was also a National Merit Scholar. And she ended up going to North Texas. It was paid for because of her National Merit Scholar status. And lo and behold, the moons were able to line up just right, and we were able to get her in our staff. And we've been, with the day we hired her, well, Jen and I came back home and I said, you know what, I feel like we just did something really good for the future of this band program. So I was very happy on that. So give Miss Fiasco some love, right? So when we were hiring Nick Kramer, that was a different circumstance. We had an assistant who just wanted to get away from me. And you too, Miss Brown? Mostly me. He was my assistant. Basically, I would yell at him behind closed doors. I would yell at him almost every day. And in fact, I felt bad because I was yelling at him every day so I could keep track of things. So that way I could yell at him 5 or 6 things at once instead of one. But he would always end up doing something that would supersede that list of 5 or 6 things. And that list would get really long. So ultimately, he left. He had to get away from me. And we'll just say you too, Miss Brown, just so that way it's... So he moved on and we got to hire somebody. Now, an administrator doesn't always know the kind of person that it's going to take to be a band director. We did. The one thing that we insisted is we were in on this program and hiring people. At the time, they said, sure, go ahead. You guys are a nuisance. Just go ahead. You guys can pick. So we got to hire. We went through people, picked very carefully. There was one guy who was a Kirkwood graduate. One of the assistant principals loved him. He had the right suit, tie, he had a full Windsor knot. He sat in his chair, he had the wonderful little leather booklet that, it was that principal loved it. He had all the right looks, said all the right things. And that was the guy I hated. And I said, I don't want that guy. And this is my quote that I said on Kramer, and I'm going to say this. I want the guy that will crawl under the trailer in his three-piece suit to get something that we need to be able to perform. And he's the last guy that needs to do that. And that's the guy that I want. I don't want the guy that comes in with the leather booklet, he looks really good in the suit, says all the right jargon. I want the guy that's willing to come in and bust his tail every day. And I definitely think that's what we got with Mr. Kramer. So give Mr. Kramer some love for sure. Okay, Miss Brown is one of our other band directors, but she has a special status, so I'm going to get to her later. Chris Coop. So, several years ago, how long have you been with us, Coop? 5 years? 4 years? 6 years? I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun. I lost track. So, we had lost a drum guy who actually, he grew up. That's what I told him. I said, I knew you were going to grow up eventually. He was doing drumline with us probably 10 years. What do you think Ryan was doing? He did drumline with us for 10 years, and he actually was starting nursing school. And I'm like, well, I said, I'm happy for you that you're finally grown up, but it puts us in a tough situation. Too bad you couldn't have stayed a child forever. So I called around, I said, I need somebody. And then Mike Davis goes, I got this guy, Coop. I said, Chris Cooper. I said, no, I knew of him, but I didn't really know him. I'm fairly insulated because I don't really like to gossip. I don't really like to talk to people. So we're at marching band contest. I don't go and hang out and talk to people. I really don't care about others. I know it sounds bad, but it's the truth because I don't really want to hear what they have to say because most of what they have to say makes me vomit, especially when they start putting that crap on the field with all the spiders and all those things in the trees. I really don't want to hear any of them talk. But unfortunately, to get Coop, I had to go outside of my normal zone, and we had to talk. We brought Coop in, and we had kind of a little initiation period. I think Mike Davis kind of wrote the music for the first year, and then the next year, Coop said, "Hey, I want to write the music. Let's go for it." And that became a surge in Melville drumline, and I think it's still going today. So the stuff that Coop has done with the drumline, writing the book, you guys don't know this. We start with a clean slate, and we start with nothing, and we create everything in-house, which is unusual. But I want total control of the creative side. I want total control of when we get the product, and we can give it to the kids to give them the best chance. And we can change it on the field, on the fly, just like that. And ever since then, Coop's been doing it, and some of the things you don't know. When we're trying to go after some musical ideas, he'll absorb that idea. Last year we did kind of a Middle Eastern spirited show, and he was studying Middle Eastern music and different drumming techniques for that and brought that onto the field. And same thing into this year. He was just basically, so I just said, Coop, I just want some like really scary stuff. And let's put it on the field. So he's like, okay, I'm thinking of scary stuff. And it's been a joy, a fun thing, and the drum guys under him have excelled. So give Coop some love for sure. Now, we had a staff of folks that were with us a long time, and I guess one staff member held a grudge against me because there was an issue that I did not like the way this particular person was treating our kids, and I yelled at him. Because there's a difference between yelling at them to try to improve them, try to grow them, and the other is when you're basically making it personal. And this person was making it personal. Now, so eventually what this person did is when we needed him, we started band camp, and then this person quit a week into band camp, which basically intentionally kind of screwed us over. So I'm a grudge holder. I've held a grudge, and I'm going to still hold a grudge over this because you don't screw kids over that way. Even if you're mad at me, you don't screw. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. You don't do that. So, and this person knew they were going to quit, probably several months ahead of time. So I've been holding a grudge, but then once you start looking around, you're like, hey, Kelly Backer, she was at Washington, and she got a pay raise and went to Lindbergh, and she's an alumni. She went through the band program. She was in color guard. She taught herself clarinet, and actually by the senior year was playing really good clarinet. And I was like, let's go after Kelly and see if Kelly will do it. And I think she said yes. So in fact, she's engaged. Her husband, John, is here. So she's going to be saying yes soon. Huh?
Fiance.
Or fiance, not husband, sorry. He will be, so she will be saying yes twice in the next couple of years. You know, one for the band and one for John. So sorry, John, if we're putting us on the same level as you. But, and Kelly's come in, and this year we actually roped her into writing the routine this year. Actually, I just said, hey, Kelly, I just want you to write the routine. She goes, I go, that's all right, you'll be fine. And has done a great job. The guard under her has done well, and I'm just excited for them. And please give Kelly some love right here. Now, a lot of people will think that redistricting the district that we did, was very good, because now the numbers are equal, and this and that, and all those things are really good. The one thing they didn't think about when they redistricted, they didn't think about the impact it would have on people. And that's what bothers me about this. They just basically redistrict just because somebody thought we needed the same number of jelly beans. Well, actually, we don't have the same number of jelly beans in the same camp. They wanted more jelly beans here and less jelly beans over here. Now, Vasilia Katie Moa came through the program, and it kills me to this day. Her family was one of those families that got moved to Oakville. And Vasilia came through the program. She had 2 younger sisters. She had 2 older sisters who already came through the program. Had the 2 younger sisters, and they're with us here tonight. I was excited to get them into the program because with that family, I knew what we had. Hardworking kids, amazing, positive kids. I was excited to get them. And the fact that I felt like we got robbed. And we got robbed of kids that were really good kids, and that had a horrible impact on people. And I'm sorry, I hope at some point we get back to where we think about people first before we think about the jelly beans. So, luckily for us, Vasilia, you've been with us 10 years. Let's just say 10 years. Huh? Oh, she was a student here, captain, and has been working with us, I don't know, a while. Let's just say 10 years. I can't think. Oh, she's 20? Well, let's just say 10 years. Doesn't matter. But she's done an amazing job, and as a student coming in, we knew what we had with her, we knew what she was going to be like, and she has done that as well. So, her older sisters are amazing girls, doing amazing things. Oldest sister, Nazira, she has 3 kids, right? So it's crazy. They grow up, and they do things, and make babies, and all this stuff, so crazy. All right, let me turn my page. Okay, so we got some other staff members here that I want to acknowledge. Zach Tomlinson is coming in doing some stuff with us. And yeah, give Zach some love for sure. And Zach, probably, I can probably say this pretty comfortably, he's probably the best snare player to ever come out of Melville. I can probably say that. Yeah, sorry, David. I should have said the best snare player to ride around on a percussion cart like the Lone Ranger. But once we start making that category, I'll make sure you're champion of that category. Okay. So Zach coming in helping us when he can. He's spent the summer marching with drum corps, and it's just coming in just because he likes it and loved being here, and we love having him. And it's just a beautiful thing to see. Also, some other folks that have come back, Colin Shannon, who was a graduate, coming here working with us. William Dickman was coming back doing some things. So you all start to see a pattern of a lot of our alumni coming and doing things, and hopefully they had positive experience, and hopefully it's something they want to come back and do. And it makes me feel old, but I love it. I love seeing those alumni of ours coming back, doing things, being part of the program, and also they get to see a different side of us. They get to see and things that happen behind the scenes and how we react to it, and the passion and the anger sometimes, when we see things where people basically are trying to screw your kids over. With a smile, oh no. So my boys through the band program. So I'm going to talk just a couple minutes and through some stories. So my boys through the band program. So I came to Melville High School as a freshman. I grew up in the city. I came to Melville High School as a freshman. I was probably one of the worst clarinet players in the band. I was like 4th chair from the bottom. Now after my audition, I thought I should have been at least the top 4. I was actually in the bottom 4. We had a playing test, we had all kinds of things, and I got really angry, and I started to practice, and I got better. Now, by the time I was a senior, I had been drum major in the marching band for 3 years. I was completely immersed in music. I also started high school as a football player. So my dad was a football coach. I grew up playing football as a kid. I played football at Melville. I had an unfortunate accident my sophomore year. I tore my finger off. It was my middle finger in this hand, so I'm not going to hold it up to show you all. You all know what the middle finger is. And I tore it off. Now luckily they were able to sew it back on. And then I had to make a choice. If I'm going to keep playing football, the doctor said if you injure it, you could lose the finger. Which if our team was good, I probably wouldn't have cared. But we had this band director named Don Kennison, and he was a nut. He was intense. He was mean. He would yell at the band more than the coaches yell at the football team. And I liked him. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I was there. I became drum major. And I would ask him questions. I would always like, so what do you do with this? And he used to drive me home. Because I live right near Crownland Park. And he would drive me home. It was on his way. And then I would just kind of ask questions and talk and all those sorts of things. And then eventually he planted this little seed. He said, well, there's this really amazing music school called North Texas. And I went through there and I said, I want to go to North Texas. I was a sophomore. Eventually I went to North Texas. Then I graduated. And then I had a job in Corpus Christi. Now, Mr. Kennison was an amazing band director. He had a dysfunctional personal life. And here was a situation where he called me and said, hey, all these people around me are leaving me. I've got all these problems. Can you come back and work with me? I said, yes. It was like my second dad. I couldn't say no to it. So I came back to Melville. He said, look, just do 5 years at Melville. Get big school experience, because I was in a little small town. You get big school experience. You can go back to Texas. You can go anywhere. So that 5 years turned into 31. And that's where I am today. So So that was some of my voyage to get to this point, to get to where we are. And that's all kind of quickly in a nutshell. Now, obviously there's this thing, you heard this with every single person that came up and talked, that COVID was a thing. It affected our program. It affected our people. It affected every aspect of our program. We lost bingo. Some of you guys are probably happy. You're like, oh, thank goodness. It killed me. It hurt me. And in fact, Miss Brown was, because I was at a point where I could have retired if I wanted during COVID. And Miss Brown said, are you going to retire after this? And I said, no, I'm too angry. So first off, I want people I can make fun of. You're going to get tired of me making fun of you at home all the time. But I feel like there's work that we have to do that if I left, what would I be teaching? I'd be running away. We'd have work that's undone. And I want to be a part of making things better coming out of COVID. Y'all can look at pictures of the band. We were small. That last show coming out of COVID was small. And, you know, we thought we had a pretty enthusiastic group, but obviously we didn't. Now, I don't know how I would behave in that aspect, but I do know there were folks that took their energy, took their time, and put it into something positive. And we had people that didn't have that same mindset. So we had to rebuild, we had to grow. We had to come in and we had to do things. First thing we did, we got bingo started quickly as possible, and we started pumping money into those private lesson programs as quick as we could. The goal for you and your kids in this program was to improve their skill with a greater level of passion than we had probably the 25 years before that. That became the fundamental goal, and that became a heavy, tall order for us. The other thing that I think that we don't do is we don't let our egos get in the way. Now, you all can see this. If you want to see a band director's ego, because I don't have ego. There are different things that motivate you to do the things that you do. I want you all do this. Go to marching band contest and look at all these other bands and look at all the crap they put on the field. Okay? And I remember standing there at Lafayette watching them pull all this stupid stuff past me. And it was dark and it was fun because they were bumping into each other. I could hear kids cussing at people. They were mad because then their ladder almost tipped over with was it like a bush on the ladder and stuff? I'm like, oh my God, who wants to do all that? Why don't y'all just march? Why don't y'all just play? And why don't y'all do it at a really high level? Well, the reason they do that is because that band director wants to win. He goes, I can win if I put all these things on the field, distract you from the marching and the music, and you will think we are the best band in the land. Does it really matter? You know, what is going to be everlasting is your skill. Nobody can take that skill away from you. When you have a talent, when you have something that you can do, it is yours forever. That's what I don't want this crap. And now once we've made it, now we got to find some place to store it. Where do we put it? Let's just put it in the quad. Like we do all the other trash. So, you know, let's do something worthwhile. Now, coming out of COVID and through COVID, Miss Brown and I had some really hard conversations. We had some really difficult conversations about the future of us coming out of COVID. Now, one of the things that you guys don't know is that Miss Brown actually runs our house. Yes, so I had a different jacket on. Can I prove something, my point? I had a different jacket on, and then she brought a different jacket for me to put on. Because why?
I don't know, that's the one I was thinking.
Because this is the one that she was thinking, that was in her head. So I changed. I said, I'm going to put this new jacket on, but I'm not going to make fun of you for this later. So I'm wearing this new jacket, and she actually runs our house. She is the dream child behind a lot of things that happen within our house and also happens within the program. See, here's some things I'm going to tell you all this. So you all see your kid, and I'm going to tell you, I see my kid in your kid. So when your kid comes up to me, I don't see your kid, I see my kid. Even though it might be your kid. I know that's confusing. So I became a much better teacher when Eva was born. Because then at that point, not that what I thought was important, but the steps that we took and the values that we had within the program became much more guided and much more directed. Even Miss Brown. Those are things that we talked about deliberately. So when your kids came into this program, they came in with a level of passion, they came in with a level of love that you all do for them. Now, teachers say that all the time. Oh, I love my students. You know, and it's superficial because that's the thing that you're supposed to say. I love the fact your kids come in here and will give blood and sweat for me. I love the fact they will come in here, give blood and sweat for this thing that we do, and enjoy it to the highest level that they can. That's a beautiful thing. When you can come in and have that level of passion in anything that you all do, don't you know you're going to be a success at it? So, through this process that Ms. Brown and I, basically, you all are an extension of our family. Your kids are an extension of the love that we feel at home for each other. And Eva. Where are you, Eva? Are you embarrassed? Good. Because I don't see your kid. I see somebody that is in my circle, my orbit. And I want the impact that your kid has to be just as special as my kid. And that's what I see in those volunteers that help. Those folks that do things, that give willingly and selflessly, that says, you know what, my kid is here, I want my kid to benefit, but also the fact that your kid, I see my kid in your kid. And those are the things that we've lost in the district, that we've lost as a, I'm not going to get into society, the world, y'all can fill in those blanks. So, our family is the band program. The band program is our family. There is no separation. We see what you all do as an extension of what we do. We see what we do as an extension of what your kids do. And that's the truth. And I will say that to anybody, any day, anytime. And I've been doing this for 31 years. So you're like, oh, Brown, what's your motivation? If I was like a second-year teacher, I could come in and lie to you all. I'm in year 31, guys. I don't have to lie. Things are pretty much the way they are. And I'm going to call it pretty much the way it is. And, we're going to still come in and give your kids the best that we can. When we came out of COVID, I was angry because I felt like the kids were in here lost things. And I'm sorry, I wanted to be a part, even if it's a small part, of trying to make things better for them. Trying to give them, why do you think the very best trips that I thought were possible, we're going on them? And you're like, oh, Disney, the kids loved it. I never went on a Disney trip because I had this mentality. I said, I'm not taking you on some artificial theme park. I want you to have real experiences. Well, so what happened? Eva was born and we started going to Disney. And then we take the band to Disney. And your kids loved it. That made me happy that there was something that they loved that much. Why do you think we're going to New York? We gave them a choice, New York and DC. I was rooting for DC, big time. They picked New York, so guess where we're going? Because I want that experience to be something that we can do together, and I want it to be something that's not as easy for them to do on their own. And I want it to be something that will be impactful for them and meaningful for them years down the road. The impact of doing that, having that experience, may not resonate right now. It might resonate 20 years from now. And you can look at it and say, wow, that was really something. That was really special. And I got to be a part of that. And that's what I hope for your kids. That's what I hope for your kids in these years that we have coming up. That's what I hope for this year. And that's what I see for the future. So I'm sorry this speech was not academic, but I'm not an academic. So thank you all. Have a good night.